Hello, I'm Teresa Crabtree, and I'm the creator of the SoulCleanse, which is a powerful method of releasing non beneficial energies and demonic interference. And I've been helping people for over 10 years who are still stuck in life. Some are having problems with paranormal activities, others are having heavy demonic interference. So if you're having problems with any of these and you want my help, just let me know. I work by donation, and we'll see what we can get going for you. So, welcome to Demonology, a biblical perspective. Today's video is part 9, and we're going to be talking about the end time prophecies. And if I highly encourage you, if you haven't already, to download this document. There's over 200 scriptures in here related to demonology, and it follows along with the video series. And download it for your own personal study, and also you can print it out and make notes. And I highly encourage you to share the videos and share the document. To send it to your friends too, anyone who might be interested in this. We are in a spiritual battle. You need to know our enemy, and we need to know who our allies are. So it's very important topic. So let's go ahead and get started. So the end times relates to the second coming of Jesus Christ. The first time Jesus came was when when he came in physical form. And then he's promised that he will come back and that there will be an end to this age as we know it. So, around 60 years after Jesus died and resurrected, he came back and appeared to one of his, they call him the beloved disciple, one of his closest disciples, John, and gave him this vision and told him to write down what he saw and put it and deliver it. And so that's what he saw, what he wrote, is known as the book of Revelation. And that's the last book in the Bible. And the vision entails all the events that are leading up to the end of the earth as we know it, and also into the beginning of the new earth and new heaven. What will happen to the believers at the end of all of this? And in today's section, we're going to be studying. I'm going to focus on the main antagonist. That's the red dragon, Satan, the beast from the sea. That's the Antichrist, and the beast from the earth. That's the false prophet. And I'm going to try and stay on target. So I'm going to be skipping through a lot of the symbiology because just to help there being less confusion. And then we're going to talk about what these three antagonists play, their role that they're playing in the end times. I do believe we are in the end times. These prophecies are being fulfilled like never before. And it's like reading them and looking at your newspaper. This stuff is just happening right in front of our eyes. So we really need to know if these times are really short and we are in the end times, you better have your ducks in a row. So let's go without further ado. So our first section here is the woman and the dragon. And this is John writing. He says, "Then I witnessed in heaven an event of great significance. I saw a woman, and she cried out because of her labor pains and the agony of giving birth. Then I witnessed in heaven another significant event. I saw a large red dragon, that's Satan, and he stood in front of the woman as she was about to give birth, ready to devour her baby as soon as it was born. She gave birth to a son who was to rule all nations." Now we know from studying different scriptures, we know beyond a doubt that this woman is representing the Jewish nation, and that was where the Messiah was to come from. And the baby that's going to be born is Jesus, and he's going to be the Messiah. I'll tell you, demons know the Bible. They know what's written. They've read what we're reading right now. So they know what's going to happen. And one thing that Satan doesn't want, he doesn't want Jesus to come. He does not want Jesus to fulfill this mission. Because once Jesus does fulfill his mission, it's the end for Satan and his demons. So they're going to try everything that they can. So all this is happening, and then John's vision continues. It says, "Then there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon and his angels, and the dragon lost the battle, and he and his angels were forced out of heaven. This great dragon, the ancient serpent is also refers all the way back to Adam and Eve and that serpent that deceived them. That was Satan also. So this great dragon, the ancient serpent called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world, he was hurled to the earth and his angels with him. And I heard a loud voice in heaven, 'Now has come the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Christ. For the accuser of our brothers and sisters have been thrown down to earth, the one who accuses them before God day and night, and they have defeated him by the blood of the Lamb. So Satan, the name means accuser, and here's his role, the one who accuses them before God. He's up before God day and night saying, see Teresa over there? Look what she did. You need to punish her for that. You need to take care of that. Look what John did. Look what Harry did over there. So day and night, this has been going on with Satan. And we read a little bit about that also in the book of Job, which we had mentioned a few videos ago. And it says, but they have been defeated him. They have defeated him by the blood of the Lamb. So who defeated him? By their testimony. In other words, the believers are the ones that are help bringing this. And the blood of the Lamb is symbolic of Jesus is the Lamb. And he was like a sacrifice when he died on the cross. So because of these events and stuff, that helped to bring Satan down. It says, but. So Satan's thrown to earth, he and his angels. But terror will come on the earth and the sea, for the devil has come down to you in great anger, knowing he has a short time. When the dragon realized that he had been thrown down to the earth, he pursued the woman who had given him birth to the male child. So this devil is after her child. At that point, it was the Jewish people. This was before the church. And anti-Semitism has always been here. It's been on the rise. And if you've had an objective mind and look at the reason why the Jews are being harassed all the time in massive ways, it makes no sense unless you look at it as a spiritual battle. So then, and then the dragon, enraged at the woman, declared war against the rest of her children who keep the commandments of God and hold to the testimony of Jesus. So that's everybody else. That's got the Jews. The Jews are also supposed to be following the commandments. Most of them don't believe Jesus is the Messiah yet, so they're not holding to the testimony of Jesus. So they're both of these groups, the Jews and they call them Gentiles mainly in the Old Testament. Those anybody who's not a Jew. So what are you going to see more of is persecution of Jews and Christians. And if you're watching the news, it is happening like crazy now all over the world. So it's always been there, but now it is on the rise, and it's just right out in the open. I mean, the people that are killing them off are just not being. It's on the news. Everybody's got cameras nowadays. And then it says, and the dragon stood on the sand of the seashore. All right, so he's starting to persecute everybody, and then Satan, what's he do? He goes to the beach. What's he doing? Is he working on a suntan? I don't think so. Maybe he's got his pitchfork and he's out there gigging for flounder or something. No, he's not. We find out in the next verse exactly what he's doing. He's going to the beach, and this is symbology, but he is going to summon the beast from the sea. That's why he's standing there on the seashore. So the next thing that John sees, then I saw a beast with 10 horns and 7 heads rising out of the sea. This is the Antichrist. Will be the Antichrist. And the dragon gave the beast his power and throne and great authority. And the whole world was astonished and followed the beast. They worshiped the dragon, who gave authority to the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like the beast, and who can wage war against him? And he, the beast, the Antichrist, was given authority to do whatever he wanted for 42 months. That's 3.5 years. And he spoke terrible words of blasphemy against God, slandering his name and his dwelling, that is, those who dwell in heaven. And the beast was allowed to wage war against God's holy people and to conquer them. And I wanted to highlight that. He was allowed to wage war. And we see that in the book of Job too. He has parameters. God said, okay, go do that, but don't do this, don't do that. He has parameters, and it's on God's timeline as well. And he was given authority to rule over every tribe and language and nation. And all the people who belong to this world worshiped the beast. And what that means, it doesn't mean all the humans. It's all the humans who belong to this world. And what that means is these are everybody who's into materialism. You got your addicts, you got power and control people, narcissists. These are people that are really attached to the world, attached to things, attached to people, attached to animals. They're just so attached to that, but they're not giving their allegiance and their love to God. It's everything else. They're distracted by everything else or purposely rebelling against God. They are the ones whose names were not written in the book of life that belongs to the Lamb who was slaughtered before the world was made. Anyone who hath ears to hear should listen and understand. I'm going to break this down a little bit for you. It says, those whose names are written in the book of life. So those are the ones who are going to spend eternity to the Creator's presence. And we're going to talk about the book of life a little bit in just a little bit. And it says that belongs to the Lamb who was slaughtered. So again, that Lamb is Jesus. So God and Jesus knew these events were going to happen. And this is interesting. They knew it was going to happen before the world was made. So we had to think on that for a while. So this is the doctrine of the Creator being omniscient, knowing everything, omnipotent, having power over everything, including time frames and including the devil, the demons, and omnipresent. God can be everywhere at all times simultaneously. And that's kind of a hard thing for us to fathom here as humans. But we just need to remember that no matter how out of control things may seem, the Creator knows what's happened. He knows what's currently happening now, even knows the number of hairs on our head. You try to count them. And he knows what's going to happen in the future. So God's in control, and he allows evil to persist in hopes that more of us will wake up and choose him rather than the lies of Satan. So our Bible is the guide. You choose your alliance. You're going to align with God, rely on God, love God with all your heart, soul, and mind, or are you going to be deceived and do things that's going to make you fall into the trap of Satan? No one can serve two masters. Now, since the names are written in the book of life before the world was made, I thought about that. Does that mean that we're predestined? Are we puppets? I said, no. I finally realized, no, we have the gift of free will. We choose to be loyal to the Creator or not. And our choices determine if our name stays in that book of life or if it gets blotted out. So God already knew the outcome when he created the world because of that omniscience thing. So one way to look at this or try to grasp it is to think of the Creator as the playwright and producer of an upcoming movie. And the actors are all allowed to be ad lib, creating their lines as they go. Think of Robin Williams if you ever watch some of his stuff. They have free will to do what they want. There's no preset lines. Now, the movie's filmed, it's completed, it's fully edited, and then the creator views the finished film, and that's how he knows the full outcome, including who remains in the book of life. Now, how does he do this? How does he have this omniscient ability? We have no idea. Humans really can't understand that. But we have to rely on the written word, his gospel that he left us, the Bible, and faith, because we can't prove what's going to happen in the future. We can watch things develop, but we don't really know. We can't prove any of this is true. And then the statement that I had read a few moments ago was ears to hear. That and similar wording shows up repeatedly throughout the Bible. And it's just like God doing a highlighter and saying, pay attention to what I just said. So you'll see it a lot. And I've seen, I found that in several places. I wrote some of them down here. The scriptures where you can see where he says ears to hear. And then the book of life is also mentioned throughout. And I included a few of the scriptures here that you can look up on your own time, look up some more information on that. Now, the following verses come from the book of Daniel. Daniel is an old-time prophet of God, Old Testament prophet of God. And he also had visions of the end times. And there's also prophecies of end times in almost every single book of the Bible, all the way from Genesis all the way through. Almost everyone has it or has some kind of something that alludes to it. So Daniel had a vision too. He had a vision from the beast of the sea, the same one that we just talked about a moment ago that John had. And you might find it interesting to compare the two. The sea beast incident for Daniel is found in Daniel chapter 7, and John's vision is in Revelation 13. Compare the two beasts in similarities in the symbology. And keep in mind, Daniel's vision was around 550 BC, and John's revelation came around 95 AD. So there's around 600 years difference between just these two visions alone, but yet they're very similar. Now I'm going to continue with that. I'm not going to go deeper into that. I don't want to get too far off topic. So in Daniel 8, Daniel is talking now. He says, at the end of their rule, when their transgression is at its height, I was just say Daniel's prophesying this, but it's actually an angel, Gabriel, that's speaking to him. At the end of their rule, when their transgression is at its height, a fierce king, a master of intrigue, will rise to power. He will become very strong, but not by his own power. He will cause a shocking amount of destruction and succeed in everything he does. He will destroy powerful leaders and devastate the holy people. He will be a master of deception and will become arrogant. He will destroy many without warning. He will even take on the prince of princes in battle. But he will be broken, though not by human power. So I'm going to look at a few of these terms here. He's talking about the beast from the sea. This is the one who's going to become the Antichrist. So the fierce king is that same one, and then he's going to be very strong, but not by his own power. Now, whose power is he going to have it by? And it's the same in Daniel's. What he saw is the same thing that John wrote about in Revelation. He said he's going to get the power from the dragon, Satan. And it says, and the dragon gave the sea beast his power and throne and great authority. And he's going to take on the prince of princes. That's Jesus. And it's going to be in a spiritual battle, but yet everything's going to be mirrored down here in physical form as well. So he's so arrogant, he's going to take on Jesus. And he already read the Bible. He already knows he's going to lose the battle, but narcissists never lose. They don't think they ever lose. So they're stupid enough to continue forward. And it says, but eventually he's going to be broken, though not by human power. So the Antichrist is going to be broken by Jesus Christ in this spiritual battle during God's timeline. Again, I can't say it enough. God is in control and it's on his timeline. He knows everything that's going to happen. So Daniel had several different visions. And in Daniel 8 and 9, during the reign of the Persian Empire, like I said, back around 550 BC, Daniel recorded some of his other prophetic visions. And you need to read those. Those are very interesting. It's happening right now and being fulfilled. So, but anyway, about 3 years later, Daniel had another vision that greatly distresses him. This is the last battle on earth, Armageddon. He's seen all the stuff all the way to the end. And it just knocked him for a loop. He was sick after he saw this. And if you can imagine, it's like 550 BC. That's the time of chariots and horses. How could you look at today's technology with nuclear weaponry, airplanes, and massive numbers of people that are coming together and everybody killing each other? Ugh, just gives me the creeps now just to think of what he saw. And it bothered him. He's like, when's this going to happen? What is this? Please tell me it's just a dream. What does it mean? So he starts praying and fasting. So for 3 weeks, he's asking God, he's begging, he's praying, he's going as deep as he can and saying, help me and send me and help me to know what this means. I want to have understanding of this vision. So then the angel Gabriel arrives, and Gabriel's already been part of these other ones too, these other visions, so he knows who he is. But he arrives, and it's interesting. Gabriel arrives and gives Daniel an apology. And this is what he says. And he said, don't be afraid, Daniel. Since the first day you began to pray for understanding and to humble yourself before God, your request has been heard in heaven. So they heard him 3 weeks ago. He heard him. They didn't come right away. He says, I've come in answer to your prayer. But for 21 days, the spirit prince of the kingdom of Persia blocked my way. So isn't that interesting? The spirit kingdom over Persia, which is now Iran, blocked his way. Then Michael, one of the archangels, came to help me, and I left him there with the spirit of the kingdom of Persia. Now I'm here to explain what will happen to your people in the future, for this vision concerns a time yet to come. So his people, at that time, John's people would be not only the Jews, but also the believers, anyone who believed in Jesus. So prophecy is for what's going to happen to them, but it also entails the whole world, all human, whether we believe him or Jesus or not. So, but then Gabriel continues, soon I must return to fight against the spirit of the kingdom of Persia, and after that, the spirit prince of the kingdom of Greece will come. Now that's interesting because the spirit, he's foretelling that Alexander the Great is going to come after the Persian Empire. And so the Persian Empire is going to go down. Now, what's really interesting is when he wrote this, it was 46 years before Alexander showed up. And when Alexander showed up, he's only 25 years old. So when he's making this prophecy, Alexander's not even born yet. So they would know where Greece was and all that, but he wouldn't know anything, right now. All he knows is Persia's in control, and he's a captive, taken out of Israel, captive in Babylon. Meanwhile, I'll tell you what is written in the book of truth. No one helps me against these spirit princes except Michael, your spirit prince. I have been standing beside Michael to support and strengthen him since the first year of the reign of Darius the Mede. So that was for about 5 years. These two have been fighting against the spirit prince of Persia. So Gabriel lets us in on behind the scenes here. It's showing us that there is a structural spiritual hierarchy in the demonic realm. And we know that from different places in the Bible. And one is, we talked about it a little bit in a previous video when we talked about the armor of God. And that's in Ephesians 6. Very important scripture to know and understand and to apply. Putting on your armor of God is how to prepare yourself for spiritual battle with these demons. And in there, in Ephesians, it says, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." These are all different hierarchies. These demons are everywhere. They're over countries, they're over counties, they're over principalities, they're over neighborhoods, they're over your house, they're after you, they're everywhere. And it is a spiritual hierarchy, and they are highly organized. You need to know how to battle them. So now, those were in Daniel in the Old Testament. Now we're going to fast forward about 600 years and going back to John. The rest of these are all from the book of Revelation and John's vision. So in Revelation 14, chapter 14, it says, "Then a third angel followed them, shouting, 'Anyone who worships the beast,'" that's the Antichrist, "'and his statue, or who accepts his mark on the forehead or on the hand, must drink the wine of God's anger.'" This ain't going to go down well with God if you do that. "And they will be tormented with fire and burning sulfur forever and ever. And they will have no relief day or night, for they have worshipped the beast and his statue and have accepted the mark of his name," 666, which you might be familiar with. So you're going to make a choice. Whoever's alive during this time when this Antichrist is here, you're either going to worship the beast and live because you're going to be able to eat, or you're going to be, in order to do that, you have to be rebelling against God. And then you have to deal with God for eternity. So choose wisely if you happen to be here during the end times. So the next antagonist is the beast of the earth. This one is actually called the false prophet, and that's what we'll be calling him by too, the false prophet. So John's continuing. "Then I saw another beast rising out from the earth, and it had two horns like a lamb, and it was speaking like a dragon," demons. "And this beast exercised all the authority of the first beast, the Antichrist, and causes the earth and those who dwell in it to worship the first beast, whose mortal wound had been healed. And it works great signs, even causing fire out of heaven to come down to the earth in the presence of men. And it deceives those dwelling on the earth because of the signs that were given to it. And he should cause that those who would not worship the statue of the beast would be killed, and it causes all, small, great, rich, poor, free servants, that it should give them a mark on their right hand or on their forehead again, so that no one should be able to buy or sell if one does not have the mark, the name of the beast, or the number of its name. Here is the wisdom." This again, like, if you have ears to ear, highlight it. What's God talking about? Pay attention. He says, "The one having understanding, let him count the number of the beast. It's a man's number, 666. And I already have a theory of my own on what that means, and others have different theories as well. So there's a lot of interest here. And one thing to point out here is Satan always copycats God. God, the prophets, Jesus, his disciples, they all outperform the great signs of the demons in different incidents in the Bible. There's some really good ones. The 10 plagues are showing that they're stronger than the gods, and then what Elijah did with all the prophets. And so they can do, some of them can do the same signs. These demons can do the same signs, but God always outperforms them. So the false prophet, also another way that Satan copycats, a false prophet is prepping the way, forcing allegiance to the Antichrist with the promise of physical life. You worship me, you live. I give you food, I give you clothes, I take care of you, you're fine, and all that. So, but he does fail to mention that God's wrath. So you can have that allegiance, you'll have physical life, but they don't mention that. Oh yeah, you're going down to hell with us at the end of this. So, but what he's doing there is they're mirroring, the false prophet is mirroring John the Baptist, who prepped the way, the truth, and the life for encouraging people to have allegiance to Jesus. He didn't force anybody like the false prophet does. They encourage people to have allegiance to God, to Jesus, to know Him, to know the Father, and in love. And with that, they get the promise of spiritual life, meaning eternal life in the good place where you want to be, in the new heavens and the new earth. And another, can't get any bigger than this. We have the Holy Trinity, which is the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, and I won't get into all that. But the unholy Trinity that Satan has is himself, the Antichrist, and the false prophet. So anything that you read in the Bible or that you know that's to be good, they will twist it and make it so that you'll end up falling into the snares of the devil. So you have to be very careful. You have to know the truth, and the truth will set you free. All right, let's move on. Revelation 16. And I saw three impure spirits that looked like frogs coming out of the mouths of the dragon, the beast, and the false prophet. These are demonic spirits that perform signs and go out to all the kings of the earth to assemble them for battle on the great day of God, the Almighty. And Jesus is talking. He's saying, look, I will come as unexpectedly as a thief. Blessed are all who are watching for me. He's warning us. This is going to happen. Watch out. And when he says he's coming like a thief, that means we don't know when he's coming. Thieves usually don't, send you a notice that I'm going to come and rob your house on Friday the 13th. So the demonic spirits gathered all the rulers and their armies to a place with the Hebrew name Armageddon. So if you've heard about Armageddon, this is where it comes from, right here in the Bible. The only place it's used is in that particular place. So evil has been allowed on earth due to the free will choices by not only ourselves, but also the fallen angels. And in Daniel, in the second chapter, he writes, and God changes the times and the seasons. He removes kings and raises up kings. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who have understanding. So we create the evil with our choices, our free will choices. But no matter what, God controls the boundaries. He's the one, every leader that we have that's of significance. I won't mention Trump's name, but he's put in there for a reason, and he's doing what he's supposed to do. He's the right person for the job, whether or not we care for him or not. He is doing what he's supposed to do because he's setting this all up, and he doesn't even know it. For God has put into the hearts evil rulers to do his purpose, to do one purpose, and to give their kingdom to the beast, the Antichrist, until the words of God will be fulfilled. God's going to cause these demon infested rulers to war against each other. It's just another reminder that God knows what's to come and he is in control. So why does God allow evil to happen? In some cases, it's just plain punishing us. In other times, it's to wake us up. He's give us time to build a relationship with him. So when are we most likely to look up to God and ask for help or to make a connection? It's usually when we hit rock bottom. So God's only request is that we love him with all of our heart, all of our soul, and all of our mind, and all of our strength, and to build a personal relationship with us. And he wants us to love ourselves and to love others the same way. It's all about love. And we can put God first, and be in alignment with him. You'll know what his will is for you, and you can be in alignment and be much less likely to fall into these snares of the demons. And they're very, very deceitful. And the Bible is our clear guide. Know the word of God. And we talked before about it being like a two-edged sword in the Bible. You can just cut through all the crap and all the garbage and all the deceit and all the lies. And you've got your weapon right there in front of your hand to say, no, no, I see the truth. I'm not going to fall into your hands. So that is our clear God. And God also says in several places in the Bible, He says, bless me and I'll bless you, curse me and I'll curse you. So you definitely want God's blessings more than His curses, because the curses can be pretty nasty. And this is important to remember too. Although God is the creator of all, He did not create evil. Evil is a result of using one's free will to make choices that separate us from God. However, evil can be a blessing, because sometimes it helps us to wake up when we hit rock bottom. So then we can learn, maybe change our mind and say, okay, I think I want to follow, as Jesus put it, the way, the truth, and the life. So once all of God's prophecies are fulfilled, then eternal life in the presence of God will begin for those whose names have not been written, they have not been blotted out of the book of life. You definitely do not want to be blotted out of the book of life. We'll find that out in the next video. All right, so on with our story. So still in Revelation, and still a continuation of John's vision. And now he's going to see the beast being destroyed. The Antichrist and the false prophet are going down. So here's what it says. Then I saw the beast from the sea, the Antichrist, and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to fight against the one sitting on the horse and his army, Jesus. Bad choice. And the beast, Antichrist, was captured, and with him the false prophet. And the two were cast alive into the lake of fire, burning with brimstone. Their entire army was killed, with the sword coming out of the mouth of the rider on the horse, and all the birds were filled with the flesh of them. The sword. What was Jesus fighting them with? The truth, the way, and the truth, and the life. Boom, this is it, the double-edged sword. And then comes the good news. Then I saw an angel coming down from heaven with the key to the abyss, holding in his hand a great chain. He seized the dragon, Satan, the ancient serpent, who is a devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. And he threw him into the abyss, shut it, and sealed it over him, so that he could not deceive the nations until the 1,000 years were complete. After that, he must be released for a short time. Then I saw thrones, and the people sitting on them, and judgment was given to them, and the souls of those having been beheaded because of the testimony of Jesus and because of the word of God, and those who did not worship the beast, nor the image of him, and they did not take on the mark of the forehead or on their hand. These guys went through literal hell, and they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. That's their reward. And the rest of the dead will not live again until the 1,000 years shall have been completed. This is the first resurrection. Blessed and holy is the one having a part in the first resurrection. And in our next video, we're going to learn what happens to all of the rest of the dead, both the believers and non-believers, the good guys and the bad guys, good, the bad, and the ugly. So Satan, the antagonist, and the false prophet, and all the human and demonic armies are out of the picture now. They're all gone. So human martyrs are resurrected from the dead. They're going to get their bodies back, and they're going to be in a physical body, and they're going to be living with Jesus for 1,000 years. And it's going to be like the times of the Garden of Eden, when everything was beautiful. It didn't need anything. And then there was no demonic oppression at that time. If you can imagine that, wow, that is a gift. And in the Garden of Eden, we also learned in Genesis that God walked with them. Every evening, God would come and talk to Adam and Eve. So in this case here, for this 1,000-year millennium, they're going to be with Jesus like that, being right with them. So each of them, though, still has free will. They're going to have children. They're going to go on with their lives. They're going to be doing anything that they want to do, just as we do now, without the oppression. And let's see what they do with their free will. Let's see how this reset goes. We've had resets before where God has taken out things and it didn't go well because He's free will. So let's see what happens here. 1,000 years living with Jesus on earth. What happens without demonic oppression? When the 1,000 years are complete, Satan will be released from his prison and will go out to deceive the nations in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them for war, and their number is like the sand from the sea. So what we learned a moment ago was Satan was going to be bound for 1,000 years, but then he's going to be released for a short time. And he knows he only has a short time, and he wastes no time. And he goes out and he's deceiving everybody. He's putting every trick that he's got in there, gathering them for war. And there must be a lot of people there, because the ones that he deceived were like the sand from the sea. So there's a lot of them. And they marched across the breadth of the earth. They came from everywhere, and they surrounded the camp of the saints and the beloved city, which is Jerusalem. But fire came down from heaven. Jesus is like, oh, we ain't playing this game, dude. This is it. They're all here. We're just going to do a clean sweep right here. So fire came down from heaven and devoured them. And the devil, the one deceiving them, was cast into the lake the lake of fire and sulfur, into which the Antichrist and the false prophet had already been thrown. And there they will be tormented day and night forever. And that used to bother me. I thought, oh, this tormented forever. But God has given these demons and humans time after time, chance after chance, and they still rebel against him. They're never going to change their mind, and he's going to punish them. Bless me, I'll bless you. Curse you, curse me, I'll curse you. So they've got theirs. So for 1,000 years, these martyrs lived. These humans been dead. They beheaded. They went through hell, not taking on the mark of the dead, mark of the beast. They couldn't buy anything. They couldn't sell anything. A lot of them would have starved to death, going through tremendous persecution. And there they are, there for 1,000 years. They're living with Jesus. They rose from the dead. Come on, people. How much more of a supernatural event do you need than that? And they're living in the presence of Jesus. Yet, sands from the sea, many rebelled. How much easier is it for you and me to fall? We don't fall into the deception. So we need to be awake. We need to be awake. This is a spiritual battle. Can't serve two masters. And there's only one book in the Bible that offers a special blessing to those who study it, and that's the book of Revelation. And in the first chapter in the book of Revelation, it says, "Blessed is the one who reads aloud the words of this prophecy, and blessed are those who hear it and take to heart what is written in it, because the time is near." It's our warning. Here it is. We have no excuse. And then in the last chapter of Revelation, which is at the end of the whole Bible, Jesus states, "Look, I'm coming soon. And blessed is the one who keeps the words of this prophecy written in this scroll." So that's something for us to consider. God, the one who created you, is he first in your life? Or does he have him sitting there on the shelf and call him out just when you need something? Where's your allegiance? If you're not in line with God, and you're going to be blotted out of the book of life. You don't want that. And you're going to fall prey to the deceit of these demons. They're going to be putting on a big show. And if we are in the end times, watch for the big show. If you read the Bible, you'll know exactly how to tell when it's Jesus and when it's not, when it's a demon. So you need to know these things. Eternity is a long time, and you want to be sure that your name is in that book of life. So I hope you enjoyed what I shared today. I hope you got some value from it, and also I hope that it encouraged you to dig into the Bible yourself. Again, download this document and study for yourself. I'm not a Bible scholar. I'm learning as I go, and every time I do one of these, I love doing these videos because I learn so much from them. And then as soon as I do the video and I read something else, and I find more information. So it's always there, and the Bible's very rich and it's very true. And I just welcome your comments and suggestions. And if you're doing this on YouTube, you can leave your comments below, or you can go to my website, teresacrabtree.com, and in the contact, write your comments. And if there's something that you would like me to study, a topic, go to that Bible studies page on my website. And if there's something there that I haven't covered that you have an interest in, let me know. And then, because I love doing this. This is nothing else I'd rather do. So, and if you're feeling stuck in life, or you got some demons that are harassing you, let me know. We get a soul cleanse, get you started on that. Again, I work by donation. Everything's done online, and so there's no excuses to not give it a try. So I'll close now and just ask you to really concentrate and pay attention to what you learned today and to where you think about where is your allegiance day by day, moment by moment. Where are you putting your allegiance? Where's your thoughts? What are you focused on? All right, just for that, I say be blessed, and I hope to see you soon.